This is damage to the front end of your car, which hit his car in the rear.
Welcome to MsMojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the times when Judge Judy looked more like a sitcom than a court show. Number 10, watch your mouth.
We had been having issues beforehand, and there's already tension in the house due to Daisha's attitude towards me.
Or because you were jealous.
Whatever it was.
Raven Miyamoto's case against Daisha Williams resulted in some petty murmurings between the two that played out right in the courtroom. We might have forgiven Miyamoto for the slip the first time around, but when she proudly repeated herself a second time,
You were jealous.
Whatever it was, you weren't getting along. And?
Okay. And
Just a second. What did you say?
I said
all bets were off for Judge Judy. Both of their cases were thrown out. Number 9, neighborly protest. This entry featured a really charming, if a little daffy, woman named Mia Lord, who was dissatisfied with a third-party neighbour's noises that may or may not have just been a result of the way the houses were built.
The only way you think that you can get Mr. V-Bot to be quiet is to make everybody else in the neighborhood suffer a little bit so that they'll all get on his back.
Right.
Lord's response was to play music and alarms loudly so that the entire neighbourhood would join her in protest against the offending neighbour. Instead, this landed her in the courtroom with the plaintiffs who were seeking a good night's sleep. Number 8, go like this. Co-defendants Patrick Valdivia Minzel and Rachel Bachakis were accused of squatting in a room they rented for several months. Their defense, that they didn't pay because the apartment was illegal and then they didn't have the money to move, doesn't wash with Judge Judy.
I want to tell you something. You both sound ridiculous. Ridiculous.
The best part is when she asked Valdivia Minzel to flex his muscles. Stupidly, he did, and proudly too. Then she told him,
Get a job and move.
Number 7, you sound like a fool. With witnesses like Carla Sanchez Lopez, who needs enemies?
You sound like a fool.
That's your opinion.
No, my opinion's the only one that counts.
If anything, her smugness and disrespect only made the defendant look sketchier than she already did. She has a lot to say, but once the judge lays into her, it's doubly hilarious to watch her actively trying not to respond. It's a losing battle.
And if you were the one responsible for taking care of the dog that day, you didn't do a good job.
I did do a good job because the
Now,
dog never left my
now we're
side.
done. Now you can sit.
The layers of arrogance on display here are awe-inspiring. Number 6, truth and lies. This case had Judge Judy questioning a young boy who was bit by a dog. It's a sad case as the boy is clearly traumatized, but when she first calls him to the stand, it's not so serious quite yet. She asks Adam if he knows the difference between the truth and a lie. To test him, she goes through a series of questions with obvious correct answers. Our favourite is the last question, and Adam passes with flying colours.
Now, if I were to tell you that the judge in this case is a young, beautiful woman, would that be the truth or a lie?
The truth.
Yes.
Even Officer Bird smiles, and longtime watchers will know just how rare that is. Number 5, Parental Advisory suggested. The plaintiff's adult novelty business took a hit when the defendant failed to return some items. Even Judge Judy seemed shocked that these were all about to be read aloud.
Making love oil, flavors strawberry and champagne.
Not only that, but some of the items that were returned had been, in the plaintiff's words, used. Listing these novelty items out for the court, the plaintiff kept a straight face, even if nobody else could.
So that may have been used, but we would have appreciated that to have been cleaned up before she returned it to us.
Number 4, Rigor Mortis Stew. Sisters Eve and Carol Dettenheim are in court because Carol hit a deer with Eve's car, which she had taken without permission.
Are you angry with your sister?
A little bit. I feel like she needs to own up to the responsibility that she did damage my car and make what is wrong right.
Instead of letting all that good meat go to waste, she ate the deer. Carol even made her sister a peace offering. Eve's contention that she did not want any rigor mortis stew is probably one of the most unintentionally funny things ever said in Judge Judy's courtroom.
But I'm not having a rigor mortis stew. But
It did not have rigor mortis, so I went back.
Number 3, vicious Tupperware attack. Plaintiff Karina Roy is suing Nicole Simius for assault and wrongful eviction after a heated argument over Tupperware. In describing the incident, Roy can't help but launch into amateur theatrics.
And she said, "Well, don't you dare!" And she threw her blankets off her, with which every morning...
Just a second, are you telling me you went into her bedroom?
Yes.
To ask?
We don't know who's more relatable in this case. Is it the audience who keep looking at each other, clearly wondering if this can possibly be real? Is it the judge who keeps having to remind Roy that this isn't community theatre? Number 2, allow him to demonstrate, Your Honour. Dr. Noel Howell presented himself fairly professionally during most of the case, but when it came to describing the plaintiff's drunken antics, things threatened to go off the rails. Mid-testimony, he launched into a very loud and suggestive demonstration of her behaviour while under the influence on a movie set.
I got on the set and I was like, "Yo, you need to go talk to Melissa." I'm like, "What's going on?" And they say, "I don't know what's up." So I went over to her and she was like, "Why? Why?"
The audience, and even Howell's witness, can't keep it together. The judge doesn't lose her cool, but do we see the slightest hint of a smile on her face? Number 1, Dumb and Dumber. The plaintiff, Ginny Paradisa, accused them of stealing her purse.
I had to replace all my IDs. I had gift cards in there, my earpiece, and a calculator.
When the judge asks her to list off the items that were in the purse at the time that it was stolen, one of the accused takes issue with Paradise's claims.
There was no earpiece in her mouth.
Without missing a beat, he insists there was no earpiece in the purse, not even realising he just confessed to the crime. Justice is rarely ever this swift. The co-defendants have gone down in history as 2 of the dumbest litigants ever to appear on Judge Judy.